Rain hammered the office windows that night, city lights smearing into blurred streaks outside. I hunched over my desk, fingers tapping the last lines of the quarterly report. The screen's glow, the only steady thing in the dim room. She stood in the doorway. My boss, her silhouette sharp against the hallway fluorescence. The faint scent of her soap, clean and sharp, cutting through the stale air as she adjusted her collar with a quick, precise motion. "Are you sure you're not into women?" Her voice cut low, hanging there like smoke. My heart thudded, a crack forming in the walls I'd built around this job. This pull I felt toward her. Thunder rolled closer, the storm building. I reached for the door to leave, but it clicked shut, locked, trapped, secrets rising like the flood outside. The office felt like a cage most days, all glass walls and humming fluorescence that buzzed like distant thunder. I'd been there 3 years, grinding through spreadsheets and deadlines in a corner cubicle that smelled of stale coffee and printer ink. The city sprawl pressed in from every window, but inside it was all measured steps and clipped conversations. Emails flew like arrows, meetings stacked like cordwood, and I kept my head down, pushing papers until my eyes burned. It was steady work, the kind that paid the rent on my small apartment across town, but it wore on you, that constant hum of expectation. She was the force holding it all together. Eleanor, my boss. Tall, with shoulders squared like fence posts, weathered by wind, she moved through the floor in the tailored suits that hung just right, her dark hair pulled back, tight. Her words came measured, each one landing with the weight of a hammer on nails. "Revise the projections," she'd say in briefings, her gaze sweeping the room, lingering nowhere. Commanding, that's what she was. Folks whispered she climbed the ranks fast from some small-town start, but she never shared details. No family photos on her desk, just a sleek planner and a single pen aligned perfect. I admired her, more than I let on. In team meetings, I'd catch myself glancing her way, watching how her fingers drummed the table edge during tense debates, nails short and practical. Intimidation mixed in there, too. Her approval meant promotions. Her frown could sink you. But it was the stolen moments that tugged harder, like when she'd lean over my shoulder to review a draft, her breath warm near my ear, the faint scent of her soap cutting through the office air. I'd straighten up quick, heat rising in my chest, burying it under nods and yes ma'ams. Professional, always. That's what I told myself. Hints of her life slipped through cracks, subtle as dry earth splitting. She dodged personal talk like it burned. Lunch invites deflected with a tight smile. Holiday chatter met with nods and quick exits. Once, during a late shift, I saw her fidget with a ring on her thumb, twisting it like it held memories she wouldn't voice. Closeted? Maybe. The thought crossed my mind unbidden, fueling quiet curiosities I shoved down. Office rumors swirled low. Nothing solid. Just murmurs about no ring on her finger, no dates mentioned, her weekends vanishing into silence. It made her more distant, that mystery, like a ridge you couldn't quite crest. My own pull stayed guarded, wrapped tight in work ethic. I'd always known my attractions leaned toward women, but here, in this corporate grind, it was easier to lock it away. Focus on the tasks, the climbs. Eleanor embodied that drive, and it drew me in, a quiet ache under the surface. Stolen glances became habit. Her stride down the hall, the way her suit jacket shifted over her back. But boundaries held firm. Respect the line, I reminded myself, heart thudding when our eyes met, accidental in the break room. That late-night project changed the rhythm. Deadlines loomed, a client pitch needing polish, and she assigned me lead on revisions. "Stay if you need to," she said, voice even, but her eyes held mine a beat longer. The team thinned out, lights flicking off floor by floor, leaving us in the quiet hum. Rain started soft against the panes, building as we worked side by side in her office, papers shuffling, keyboards clicking. The air thickened, professional walls feeling thinner with each passing hour. I didn't know then how the storm would seal us in, forcing those buried pulls to the surface. The extended hours started small, just a few late nights blurring into weeks. but the empty office became a different kind of space, forcing us into a proximity the daylight never allowed. Those extended hours started small, just a few late nights blurring into weeks. The office emptied early, shadows stretching long across the carpets, but we'd linger, screens glowing like distant campfires in the dusk. Elevator rides down became our quiet ritual. Crowded mornings gave way to empty cars at day's end, her pressing the button for the lobby while I stood a step back. Shoulders brushed once, accidental in the confined space, her suit fabric rough against my sleeve. Heat sparked there, quick as flint on steel, and I'd shift away, heart thudding against my ribs. She didn't pull back right away, just cleared her throat, eyes on the descending numbers. Awkwardness hung thick, like dust, settling after a gust. She ramped up the pressure then, assigning me a high-stakes task, overhauling the client deck for the big pitch. "I trust your eye on this," she said in her office, handing over the files, her fingers grazing mine longer than needed. Her gaze lingered too, a beat past professional, dark eyes searching my face like reading weathered bark for signs of rot. I nodded, swallowing the pull low in my gut, and dove in. Nights stretched, coffee going cold on my desk, rain pattering steady outside. I'd glance up, catch her watching from across the room, then look away quick, the air between us charged, unspoken. Vulnerability cracked through in rare moments, subtle as a fence rail giving under weight. During one review, she fidgeted with that thumb ring again, twisting it slow while we pored over charts. Her voice dipped, almost soft. "This part? It reminds me of decisions back home." She stopped there, eyes averting to the window, city lights flickering like hesitant stars. Home. Rural roots, I guessed, from the clipped way she said it. No more came, but it lingered, that glimpse of something guarded, pulling at my curiosity like a loose thread. Rumors swirled in the break room, low voices over vending machine hums. "Eleanor's got no one," someone murmured one afternoon, stirring sugar into coffee. "Single forever, or hiding something big." Laughter followed, light but edged, fueling my own quiet questions. Was it a woman tucked away from this corporate glare? The thoughts gnawed, mixing admiration with a deeper ache. I'd bury it under work, but it brewed internal, a storm of respect clashing with the pull. Boundaries screamed, boss, career, everything at stake. Acknowledge it, and the whole structure crumbled. Ignore it, and the tension coiled tighter, hearts thudding in the silence between emails. That pull warred inside me. Nights alone in my apartment, staring at the ceiling cracks like fault lines. Respect the line. Keep it professional. But her presence tugged, inevitable as gravity on a hillside. Stolen glances multiplied, her adjusting her collar in a meeting, throat exposed a second too long, the way her laugh broke rare, low and real during a team lunch. It felt like watching a ridge form, slow pressure building underground. The pivotal conversation came after a team meeting dispersed, chairs scraping as folks filed out. Rain hammered harder now, warnings flashing on phones. She stayed, stacking papers, deliberate. "Walk with me to my office?" Her voice low, inviting without demand. I nodded, falling in step, the hallway empty save for our footsteps echoing soft. In her space, door half closed, she leaned against the desk, arms crossed. "You've been solid on this project, more than." Her eyes met mine, unflinching this time, the air thickening like before a downpour. I felt the boundary thin, desire simmering just below, hearts thudding in the quiet. "Thanks," I managed, voice steady but pulse racing. She nodded, but didn't look away. The moment stretching, pulling us toward whatever storm waited outside. The air between us had grown so thick with unspoken weight that I knew the next words spoken wouldn't be about spreadsheets. I just didn't expect them to be about me. She didn't waste time. The conference room door clicked shut behind us, the sound sharp like a gate latching in wind. Empty now, chairs pushed in neat, the long table scarred from years of elbows and briefcases. Rain sheeted the windows, blurring the city into a gray smear. Eleanor stood across from me, hands flat on the wood, her knuckles pale against the dark polish. Her eyes held mine, steady but edged, with something raw, like soil turned after drought. "Are you sure you're not into women?" The words dropped low, probing, cutting through the hum of the AC like a knife through twine. Heat flooded my face, chest tightening as if barbed wire coiled around my ribs. I stumbled back a step, bumping the chair leg, the scrape loud in the quiet. Deny it. Quick, keep the line. "No, that's not..." My voice cracked, words tangling like roots in rocky ground. But inside, questions stirred, buried pulls I'd ignored, rising fast. Her gaze, those stolen glances, the way her presence tugged like gravity on loose gravel. Was it just admiration? Or this, simmering deeper, unspoken? I met her eyes again, pulse thudding heavy, the air between us thick as pre-storm humidity. She didn't press, just exhaled slow, her shoulders easing a fraction. Vulnerability flickered there, eyes averting to the window where lightning forked silent. "I've wondered," she said, voice softer, twisting that thumb ring again, the metal catching the dim light. "About you. About me." A flicker of her own hidden desires, closeted tight from the corporate glare, rural shadows clinging like dust on boots. No more details, but it hung there, her confession partial, like a fence half mended. My breath caught, the pull intensifying, desire blooming slow in the space we'd carved. Thunder rumbled closer, vibrating the glass, storm warnings buzzing on my phone, flash floods, stay indoors. She straightened, the moment fracturing but not breaking. "We need to finish that pitch. Tonight." Her tone shifted back to command, but softer around the edges, decision solidifying like mud, hardening after rain. I nodded, heat still pooling low, questions churning. The building emptied floor by floor, footsteps fading down halls, elevators dinging distant. Lights dimmed to emergency glow, casting long shadows across desks piled with files. We moved to her office, papers shuffling under our hands, the rain pounding relentless. Isolation settled heavy, doors sealing behind the last stragglers, the world outside washing away. Her chair creaked as she leaned back, watching me type, the silence broken only by keyboard clicks and water-lashing panes. Proximity built again, knees close under the desk, her scent, clean soap and faint leather, cutting the stale air. I felt her gaze, unflinching now, inviting without words. Hearts thudded in sync, the slow burn igniting, professional walls cracking like dry earth under pressure. By midnight, the storm peaked, wind howling through vents. We were alone, truly, trapped not just by weather, but this unraveling between us. She reached for a file, her hand brushing mine, sparks jumping like static on wool. I didn't pull away. Neither did she. The question lingered, pulling us deeper, desire discovering itself in the dim light, closeted fears, loosening their grip. Power flickered first, a stutter in the lights overhead, then plunged the office into shadow. Emergency bulbs hummed on, casting dim pools across desks, cluttered with staplers and forgotten mugs. Rain lashed the windows harder, wind rattling the frame like impatient fists. Eleanor looked up from her screen, brow furrowing. "Storm's worse than they said." Her voice cut the sudden quiet, steady but edged. I nodded, saving the file quick, heart still thudding from her question earlier. The air felt heavier now, charged beyond the weather. We packed up slow, chairs scraping carpet. "Let's get out before it locks down," she said, grabbing her coat from the hook. I followed to the main door, the hallway stretching empty, shadows playing long on the walls. Thunder boomed close, vibrating the floor. I pushed the handle. Nothing. It held firm, jammed tight. "What the..." I rattled it, metal cold under my palm. She stepped up, tried herself, shoulder pressing the panel. No give. Building systems glitchy in storms. Weather must have tripped it. Panic flickered in my chest, sharp as a snapped fence wire. Trapped, with her. The city outside blurred to chaos, but in here, isolation pressed close. She pulled out her phone, no signal bars glowing. Mine same, dead zone from the outage. "Security's off till morning," she muttered, leaning against the door, defeat settling in her stance. initial rush eased, breaths slowing in the dim. We moved to the lounge area, the couch sagging under us, vinyl cool through my slacks. Resigned now, legs stretched out, the space between us shrinking without the buffer of desks. Rain drummed steady, a rhythm that filled the silence. "Might as well wait it out," she said, voice low, rubbing her arms against the chill seeping from the vents. Conversation started halting, words dropping like first rain on dry ground. She shifted, knees inches from mine, the emergency light carving hollows under her eyes. "This reminds me of home. Storms like this, you'd hunker down in the barn, wind howling through the cracks." Rural roots surfaced, her words painting a picture. Small town, fields stretching flat, judgments thick as dust. I leaned in, curiosity pulling. "Where's that?" She paused, twisting the thumb ring again, metal glinting faint. "Middle of nowhere. Kansas Plains. Family farm. Conservative as they come." Her laugh came dry, self-cut. "Coming out here to the city? Built this facade. Suits. Silence. Easier than facing what they wouldn't understand." Closeted fears spilled then, slow unraveling in the quiet. She stared at the floor, voice dropping softer. "I've buried it deep. Attractions I won't name. Women. Back there. Stolen looks at the county fair, hearts thudding under flannel. But saying it? In that world, it breaks everything. Here, I thought distance would hold. Professional walls, high enough." Vulnerability cracked open, her shoulders easing as if the storm outside loosened the weight. I felt it echo in me, the pull sharpening, desire stirring like wind-bending grass. "Sounds heavy," I said, hand resting, on the couch arm close to hers. She nodded, eyes meeting mine, unflinching now. "It is, like carrying fence posts, uphill, alone. Never let it show. Not till tonight." The question from earlier hung there, her probe turning inward. Heat rose in my chest, the dim light warming her skin, making the space feel smaller. I shared fragments then, words careful but real. "I've known my leanings a while. Women draw me, always have. But work? It's locked tight under deadlines and nods. Glances at you, though, harder to bury." Admissions cracked my own guards, unspoken attractions surfacing like roots pushing soil. Her breath caught, gaze holding steady, the air thickening with shared weight. Chill deepened, vents hissing cold. She grabbed a blanket from the supply closet, thin, emergency issue, smelling of storage dust, draped it over us, fabric settling soft. "Better?" Her knee brushed mine under the edge, warmth seeping through. I didn't shift away. Neither did she. Physical closeness built slow, knees touching firm now, sparks jumping quiet. Her scent cut the stale air, faint perfume like sage after rain, mixed with leather from her coat. Hearts thudded in the hush, the storm mirroring the build inside. Rain pounded relentless, but here proximity pulled us nearer, boundaries thinning like fog lifting at dawn. We sat like that, words fading to breaths, the blanket a shared shield. Her hand inched closer on the cushion, fingers grazing mine accidental. Heat pooled low, desire discovering edges in the dim. Trapped, yes. But the isolation forged something raw, closeted walls giving way to this slow burn vulnerability binding us in the quiet night. The silence of the trapped office became a confessional, and as the storm raged outside, the weight of her corporate facade finally began to crack. Hours dragged on, the clock's red digits blurring into 3 a.m., the emergency lights holding steady but dim. Rain pounded the windows like fists on a barn door, relentless, mirroring the churn inside me. We stayed under that thin blanket, knees pressed firm now, the vinyl couch creaking soft with every shift. Eleanor's stories deepened, words spilling slow like water from a cracked well bucket. She leaned back, her arm brushing mine, warmth seeping through her blouse. Back home, there was this girl. County fair summers, dust kicking up under boots. Her voice dropped, eyes on the shadowed ceiling. I'd watch her ride the mechanical bull, laugh breaking free, and feel this pull, deep, like roots twisting underground. Never said a word. Suppressed it all, buried under chores and expectations. I listened, breath steady but heart thudding heavy. The scent of her perfume rose faint, something clean like rain on sagebrush, cutting the office staleness. It pulled me closer, desire stirring low, a slow burn uncoiling. What stopped you? My question hung quiet, inviting without push. She twisted that thumb ring again, metal scraping skin. Everything. Family prayers at supper, the town's eyes on every step, crush after crush, women I'd glimpse in passing, helping with harvest, hands dirt-streaked, strength quiet and real. I'd feel it hit, heat rising, but pull back, always. Vulnerability cracked wider, her shoulders easing, the closeted weight lifting a fraction in this trapped space. The pull intensified for me, magnetic, like gravity on loose gravel. Her arm rested near mine on the couch back, sleeve grazing my shoulder. I shifted, hand brushing her forearm, accidental, skin warm, soft under the fabric. Sparks jumped, sharp as static on wool, heat pooling in my chest. I froze, pulse racing, but didn't pull away. Neither did she. Eyes met, unflinching, the dim light, catching the line of her jaw. Desire discovered edges here, slow, inevitable. I felt that, I admitted, voice low. Glances that linger too long, burying it under work, but it simmers. Mutual now. Admissions threading like fence wire, cracking defenses built high. We leaned in then, heads close, breaths mingling in the chill. Her knee nudged mine deliberate, warmth spreading under the blanket. Hearts thudded in the silence, loud as the rain's rhythm. I felt the try. Leaning closer, my hand sliding to her wrist, fingers tracing the pulse there. Steady, but quickening. Pull back came next, instinct sharp, boundaries screaming, career, power lines, all at stake. But the fail cycled, desire pulling harder, her gaze holding mine like an anchor in wind. This is dangerous, she whispered. But her body didn't move, thigh pressing firmer against mine. Stories wove deeper, hours blurring. She confessed another. College roommate, late night studying, the way laughter turned to something heavier, hands brushing over textbooks. I'd lie awake after, heart pounding like thunder over plains. Wanted to reach out, but fear clamped down. Closeted, tight, even then. Her words painted it raw, rural shadows long, city facade her shield. I shared fragments, vulnerability mirroring. First woman I noticed, high school track meets. Her stride, power quiet. I'd watch from the bleachers, feel it twist inside, but say nothing. Works the same, deadlines as walls. The warmth of shared space built, blanket trapping heat, her perfume stronger now, heady, drawing me in. Try again. I turned toward her, face inches away, the couch dipping us closer. My fingers tightened on her arm, feeling muscle taut under skin. She exhaled sharp, leaning in, lips parting like an invitation. Hearts thudded louder, silence thick, but pull back. Her hand covered mine, gentle but halting, eyes flickering doubt. We can't, she murmured, voice thick, closeted fears resurfacing like frost on morning grass. The cycle repeated, tension coiling, desire simmering beneath words unsaid. Rain hammered harder, wind rattling vents, the storm outside echoing our internal churn, pulls and pauses, admissions cracking open wider. Sensory details sharpened everything, her breath warm on my cheek, faint salt of skin from the long day. The blanket's edge scratched my wrist, but her nearness overrode it, body heat cutting the draft like sun on chilled earth. I felt her shift, elbow brushing my side, sparks trailing down my spine. Why does this feel right? I asked, voice barely above the downpour. She didn't answer with words, just her hand squeezing mine, fingers lacing tentative. Mutual admissions flowed now, desires named in whispers. I've thought about you too, those meetings, your focus. Her confession hit deep, defenses crumbling like dry soil under boot. The try-fail wore on, each lean pulling us nearer the edge. I'd inch closer, nose brushing her hair, inhaling that sage scent, heart slamming. Pull back. Space a breath wide, eyes searching, silence heavy with what we held. Desire built slow, discovery unfolding in touches that lingered longer each time. Her free hand rested on my knee under the blanket, thumb circling slow, heat rising steady. "Tell me to stop," she said, but her gaze begged otherwise, closeted walls thinning to paper. I didn't. Instead, leaned in again, forehead touching hers, breath sinking in the dim. Tension peaked as rain pounded furious, lightning flashing brief through blinds, illuminating her face, vulnerable, wanting. The storm mirrored ours, thunder rumbling low like the ache building. Hands explored edges now, my palm flat on her thigh, feeling warmth through fabric. She gasped soft, body arching slight, the cycle breaking toward something irreversible. Admissions, cracked fully. I want this. You. Her words raw, desire transcending the professional cage. Hearts thudded wild, silence shattered by breaths quickening, the unraveling complete in that trapped, heated space. Her gaze shifted then, unflinching, locking on mine in the dim emergency light. No more averting, no twist of that ring. Just raw invitation, eyes dark as night fields under moon. The blanket trapped our heat, rain drumming relentless outside, but here, the world narrowed to her face, inches away. I felt it pull, desire uncoiling, slow like a rope tightening around a post. My hand, still laced with hers, squeezed once. She didn't pull back. Breaths mingled, warm and quick, her scent stronger now. Sage and leather, cutting through the office chill like wind through open barn doors. I initiated it. Tentative, fingers lifting from her wrist to trace the line of her collarbone. Skin warm under the blouse edge, pulse thudding steady there, like a heartbeat echoing mine. She inhaled sharp, body stilling but not retreating. The touch sparked low, heat pooling in my gut, slow burn igniting. "This," I whispered, voice low against the storm, thumb brushing the hollow at her throat. Vulnerability flooded me, open in that moment, sharing the want I'd buried under spreadsheets and nods. Her eyes held, unflinching, a nod, subtle as grass bending. Slow exploration unfolded, hands moving, deliberate. I leaned in, lips. Brushing her jaw first, soft, testing, like grazing knuckles on weathered wood. She turned her head, meeting me halfway, our mouths connecting tentative. Lips parted slow, breath warm, tasting salt from the long day mixed with her faint lipstick, clean and real. No rush, just the unfold, tongues touching light, exploratory, building hunger quiet. Her hand slid to my neck, fingers tangling in my hair, pulling gentle, urging deeper. The couch creaked under us, vinyl sticking slight to skin, but her warmth overrode it, bodies shifting closer under the blanket. Her closeted walls crumbled then, piece by piece. A soft moan escaped against my neck as I trailed kisses down, lips pressing the curve where blouse met skin. She arched slight, hand clutching my shoulder, nails digging through fabric like anchors in soft earth. "God," she breathed, voice thick, rural edges slipping through, plain, unpolished. Desire poured out, suppressed crushes from fairgrounds and fields breaking free in this trapped space. I felt her tremble, walls giving way, the facade of suits and commands dissolving into something raw, woman to woman. Bodies responded, heat building steady. My hand slipped under her blouse edge, palm flat on her stomach, skin hot, muscles taut under touch. She gasped, hips shifting, thigh pressing firm against mine. Friction, sparking low, heat pooled deeper, urgency rising like water after thaw, boundaries blurring fast. Professional roles faded, boss and report, power lines, all transcended in the press of her against me. I pulled back a breath, eyes meeting hers, revelation hitting mutual. "You feel it too," I said, not question, hand tracing higher, cupping her breast tentative, thumb circling slow. She nodded, moan soft, lips finding mine again, hunger surging. Kisses built to need, mouths opening wider, tongues tangling fierce now. Her hands roamed, unbuttoning my shirt with fingers steady but quick, cool air hitting skin before her palm followed, warm and claiming. I mirrored, blouse parting under my touch, exposing lace and the rise of her chest. Sensory flooded, her skin silk over muscle, scent headier up close, like earth after rain mixed with desire's edge. We shifted, her leg draping over mine under the blanket, bodies aligning, heat pressing urgent. Hearts thudded wild, matching the thunder outside, revelation raw. This pull, mutual, transcending the office cage. She broke the kiss, trailing lips to my ear, breath hot. I've wanted this. You, in meetings, that focus. Confessions spilled, closeted desires naming themselves, women glimpsed in youth, suppressed under family weight, now alive in my touch. Her hand slid down my side, fingers hooking my belt, pulling closer. Urgency dissolved lines, my thigh between hers, rocking slow. Friction building moans from us both. Heat pooled, insistent, bodies responding instinct, hands clutching fabric, breaths ragged in the dim. The blanket tangled around us, a makeshift shield, but exposure felt freeing. Professional masks shed like old coats. Exploration deepened. Slow no more. I pushed her blouse aside, mouth on her collarbone, sucking gentle, marking the skin I'd traced. She arched, hand in my hair, guiding, moan vibrating against my lips. Yes, she whispered, voice breaking. Walls fully crumbled, rural girl emerging in the city storm. My fingers worked her skirt up, thigh exposed, skin hot under palm as I stroked inner lines, feeling her respond, wet heat through fabric. Revelation hit harder, desire raw, equal, her hips bucking slight, pulling me in. Boundaries gone, urgency flooding. We moved together. Kisses, bruising now, hunger transcending roles. The couch dipped us closer, bodies grinding slow build to need. Her hand found my waistband, slipping inside, fingers tentative, then bold, stroking where heat centered. I gasped, head falling to her shoulder, tasting salt on skin. Mutual want surged, her moans soft against my neck, confessions weaving. Never let it out, but you pull it free. Heat built urgent. Thighs pressing, hands exploring curves, breasts, the dip of hips. Sensory overwhelmed. Slick skin, ragged breaths, the faint creak of vinyl under shifting weight. Thunder rolled, lightning flashing her face. Vulnerable, wanting, closeted, no more in this moment. We peaked slow, urgency cresting like a wave over plains. Bodies trembling in sync. Her cry muffled against my hair, mine in her neck. Revelation sealing us. Desire mutual, raw, professional, world irrelevant. Heat ebbed to warmth, breaths slowing, hands still linked, tracing lazy paths on sweat-damp skin. The storm raged on, but inside, discovery settled, transcending everything. Boss, employee, lines drawn. Just us, tangled, alive in the dim. Intensity surged then, her body arching under mine, hands clutching my back like fence wire pulled taut. Breaths came ragged in the dim light, the emergency bulbs casting shadows that danced across her skin, slick with sweat. The blanket tangled around our legs, trapping heat that built relentless, like a summer storm rolling over flat plains. I pressed closer, thigh between hers, rocking steady, feeling her respond, wet, urgent, hips rising to meet each motion. Her nails dug into my shoulders, a sharp anchor pulling me deeper into the rhythm. Moans escaped her, low against my ear, raw sounds that cracked the silence wider than thunder. My hand slid lower, fingers circling where heat centered, stroking deliberate, drawing gasps that matched the rain's pound outside. She trembled, body coiling tight, the closeted restraint shattering in waves. We moved together, friction building to a peak, her leg hooking mine, urging faster. Heat flooded me, pooling low and insistent, every brush of skin sending sparks like dry grass catching flame. Her lips found my neck, teeth grazing, a mark that burned sweet. "Don't stop," she whispered, voice breaking, rural edges rough and real. No facade left. I didn't. Fingers pressed firmer, thumb teasing the edge, feeling her clench, release, building in her shudders. The couch creaked under us, vinyl sticking, then slipping with sweat, the air thick with our scents, salt, sage, desire, sharp as cut hay. Her cry came sudden, muffled in my hair, body bucking as climax hit, pulling me over with her. Heat crested hot, thighs trembling, breaths sinking in the shudder. We held there, tangled, the storm inside ebbing slow, leaving warmth that seeped deep. Quiet settled after, breaths slowing to the rain's steady drum. The dim light softened her face, eyes half-lidded, cheeks flushed like earth after first rain. Her hand rested on my chest, fingers tracing lazy circles over my heart, thudding still. But doubt surfaced quick, shadows creeping back. She shifted, pulling the blanket higher, gaze dropping to the floor. What now? Her voice came small, vulnerability raw, closeted fears rising like frost on morning windows. Exposure loomed in her eyes, office walls, career lines, the rural ghosts that judged silent. If anyone finds out. The power, the risk. I could lose everything I've built. She sat up slight, blouse rumpled, twisting that thumb ring again, metal scraping skin like a reminder of chains. I felt it too, the weight settling heavy, but connection pulled stronger, binding us in the afterglow. My hand covered hers, stilling the twist, thumb stroking her knuckles, gentle. We don't have to name it yet, but this felt real. You felt real. Vulnerability poured from me, open as the plains at dawn, sharing the ache without demand. Her eyes met mine, searching, the doubt flickering but not breaking. I've hidden so long, she murmured, leaning into my shoulder, warmth returning. Back home, desires like this. Buried deep under family weight, town stairs. Here, I thought suits would hold it, but you cracked it open. I nodded, arm around her, pulling close, the couch dipping us together. I'm here, not just tonight, whatever this pulls us into. Affirmation wove quiet, empathy steady, our shared rawness forging something solid, vulnerability a bridge over her fears. She exhaled slow, body easing against mine, head on my shoulder, the quiet holding us. Hands linked again, fingers lacing firm. The post-moment hush broken only by distant thunder fading. Doubts lingered, but my words anchored, affirming the connection without rush. Her breath warmed my neck, a soft anchor. Closeted walls not rebuilt, but paused. Desire's discovery lingering in touches that stayed gentle now. We sat like that, tangled under the blanket, the office a cocoon against the storm's tail, vulnerability binding tighter, pulling us from confrontation to a tentative resolve. External interruption loomed sudden. Keys jingling faint in the hall, metal clinking like loose chain links. Janitor's routine. Early shift, cutting the night short. Panic flashed in her eyes, sharp as a snapped rail. Shit, she whispered, disentangling. Quick, blouse buttoning with fumbling fingers. I mirrored, shirt tugged straight, blanket shoved aside, hearts thudding renewed. We stood, smoothing hair, the couch vinyl cool now under empty weight. The keys turned closer, door handle, rattling, tentative. Act normal, she hissed, stepping back. Professional mask slipping on like an old coat, but cracked at the edges. The door swung open with a creak, janitor's flashlight beam sweeping the lounge, face weathered under cap. Power's back. Storm past. His voice gruff, oblivious. Keys dangling from belt. We nodded, casual as dust settling. Thanks, I managed, voice steady but pulse racing. He moved on, vacuum humming, distant down the hall. The space between us stretched, but her gaze caught mine across the room, unflinching, promising more, a shared look that held heat under the surface. No words, just that pull, resolve, settling quiet. This wasn't end, just pause. Morning light filtered slow through blinds, dawn breaking gray over the city sprawl. We gathered files, coats slung over arms, the office stirring with early hums, elevators dinging, footsteps echoing. New dynamic emerged, subtle, her hand brushing mine accidental by the door, lingering a beat. Eyes met again, vulnerability shared in the glance, connection affirmed beyond the night. The storm's wash left everything sharper, desires discovered, boundaries shifted like land after flood. We stepped out together, air crisp, the pull between us alive, leading toward whatever came next. We escaped the office at first light, the door swinging free with a reluctant creak, cool morning air rushing in like a held breath released. Eleanor stepped out first, her coat slung over one arm, hair slightly tousled from the night's tangle. I followed close, the hallway lights flickering back to full hum, the building stirring with early arrivals, coffee machines gurgling, printers warming. Our footsteps echoed soft on the tile, but the space between us felt charged, awkward in the daylight, like walking a fence line after a storm, unsure where the brakes lay. The commute unfolded in her car, the engine rumbling low as we pulled into traffic, city streets slick with overnight rain. She drove steady, hands firm on the wheel, but her knee brushed mine at a stoplight, lingering a beat too long before she shifted. Heat sparked there, quiet, a reminder of the couch's warmth. I glanced her way, catching her profile, jaw set, but eyes softer now, the closeted guard down a fraction. "Coffee sometime?" she said, voice low against the radio's murmur. Not an order, just a hint. Future meetings outside these walls, away from desks and deadlines. My pulse quickened, the pull deepening, desire's discovery settling like roots finding soil. I nodded, hand resting on the console, inches from hers. "Yeah, outside this." The words hung simple, but they carried weight, empowerment surging through me, slow and real, like hauling a load uphill and feeling the strength build. Career risks loomed, shadows long, whispers in meetings, HR forms, the power line we'd crossed blurring everything. What if it unraveled promotions, respect earned through late nights? But in that car, processing it felt different. No fear clamped tight. Instead, a quiet power, vulnerability, turned to resolve. I'd touched her walls, seen them crumble, and mine held firm, open to this new ground. The boss who'd intimidated now felt human, equal in the want we'd shared. She pulled up to my building, engine idling, rain-puddled curbs reflecting dawn light. Our eyes met, unflinching. A shared look promising more. Dinners in dim restaurants, walks without suits, spaces where closeted fears could breathe. "Text me," she said, her hand covering mine brief, thumb stroking once, warmth seeping through. I stepped out, air crisp on my skin, but the connection lingered, deepened in the quiet ride. Desire discovered wasn't fleeting. It rooted us, transcending roles, pulling toward whatever came next. Back in my apartment, door clicking shut, I leaned against it, processing the shift. Empowerment washed over, steady as morning chores. Nerves still thrummed, risks real as barbed wire fences, but the ache of hidden pulls eased. Her scent clung faint to my clothes, sage and leather, grounding the whirlwind. Emotional payoff hit deep, connection forged in that storm, vulnerability binding tighter than any contract. I smiled to the empty room, heart full, the slow burn now a steady flame. Career shadows no match for this newfound light. The elevator dinged open to my floor, but I lingered a second, watching her stride down the hall, shoulders squared but steps lighter. Dawn light slanted through the blinds, washing the office clean, secrets sealed tight but alive under the surface, pulsing like hidden springs after rain. If you've ever felt that slow pull in hidden spaces, the kind that builds quiet until it breaks free, share your story below. It might echo for someone still buried under their own storms. And if these tales of women uncovering desire, crossing lines in the dim, resonate with your own quiet truths, subscribe for more, stories of connections that root deep, one vulnerable touch at a time.